is already in the Hall of Fame, Fred. Winner of 4 around the globe, Phil Remington. In drag racing, one of the top funny car drivers in the 1970s. He's now the owner of a race team that has accumulated 16 NHRA World Championships and more than 300 national race wins. Don Schumacher. In motorcycles, a winner of the Daytona 200 here, the 500cc world champion and 25-time winner on the International Grand Prix circuit, Kevin Schwantz. In stock cars, this guy's got a pretty good resume. He won an IndyCar championship, 3 Cup titles here in NASCAR, plus season championships in midgets, sprint cars, dirt champ cars, and the IROC series. He's now a team owner that has won another Cup championship, a Daytona 500, and happens to be one of the dominant teams in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series right now in 2018. Tony Stewart. And in that at-large category, she started out as a beauty queen. She transformed it into a goodwill ambassadorship for American auto racing. All the types of racing claim her. She's popular and well-loved throughout motorsports and has been called the First Lady of Motorsports, Linda Vaughn. And so we're so happy to have Chip here, who's been our host, and it's probably the best thing that ever happened in the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America to be able to come here to the Daytona International Speedway, be part of the tours, and have a beautiful, beautiful facility here that has been extremely well accepted and well attended. Chip, what do you think of this group?
Wow, what a group. I mean, you think that, you think about Tony Stewart, he was a 4-time Coke Zero Sugar 400 winner, only behind David Pearson, and certainly an ambassador to our sport. It's great to have him. And then Linda Vaughn, my gosh, you don't come to a race without seeing Linda Vaughn. So it's great to have such an esteemed class, and we look forward to hosting them next March at the Shores, right?
Well, I will tell you, we haven't signed the contract, but it may be highly likely that we'll be back at that same venue.
Well, it's great to have Ron and the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America here at Daytona. We have tens of thousands of visitors that come see us, not at race time every year, and experience our state-of-the-art facility and all the amenities and things that we've added over the last couple of years. But then to add what you guys have brought to the table and the museum it's just spectacular. And I can tell you, reading the feedback from our fans, it's been such a welcome addition. And you and your staff as well. It's just been great to have you down here and to be able to host you and be a part of all the things that you guys do is truly an honor.
Well, we couldn't be more pleased. And when you say there's visitors, I mean, these visitors are literally from around the world. It's surprising to our new docents and anybody who comes in that the number of people from Europe and Asia and who are part of the South America who come here on vacation to the beautiful state of Florida. And of course, they come to the beaches and Disney and everything else. But they've heard the name Daytona. They come to see the place, and we introduce them to American motorsports. And so I think we're doing a job in terms of really outreaching to more than you would imagine. It's really not your necessarily. We have a good core of people who are the great NASCAR fans, but there's a huge group that go beyond that, and we're happy that we're able to bring them in and give them a good time.
Well, this morning we hosted an event for Joey Logano inside of your Hall of Heroes, and it's just such an incredible backdrop, and it's so diverse. You got everything from drag cars to Bluebird to stock cars to motorcycles in there. Joey Logano didn't want to actually start his Q&A because he was looking at all the cars. I said, we got to go. I encourage any of you media members who haven't been over and seen it. Ron and his team have done a magnificent job changing the Velocitorium into their Hall of Fame, and they've done a miraculous job.
All right, we're going to take a few questions for our special guests. Raise your hand, we'll come around the mic.
You're the special guest.
Great.
Greg Engel, Auto Week. Ron, can you talk me through the process of how you choose the nominees and then you narrow the list down? Is it a board? Is it, how is that process done? Because obviously it's got to be a tough decision, for some people are not going to make it in every year.
Right. Well, from the very beginning, we wanted to make this Hall of Fame legitimate in every way, especially in terms of the selection process. So we tried a certain, association or something the very first year. After that, we learned we needed to recruit people that really, really knew the sports. And so what we did was recruit people across the country who are either recognized historians, journalists who have at least 10 years experience in the field of motorsports that they cover, and past participants. So we have invited a great number of the past inductees to vote as well. And so what we did was then create a group of 100 people across the country called a Nominating Committee. We have a huge list, and we think that is one of the biggest accomplishments we've done. That master list of, I don't even know, it's like 50 pages of eligible people with a bio. They're all equal in length, equal, we try to make that as equal sounding in terms of each one, not to give any preference in terms of how the bios are written. And then we send that list out to the 100 people. They vote. They come up with a ballot of 6 names in each category, and that is resent out to the nominating committee plus another 100 people who are experts, and then that group of 200 votes, the top vote getter in each category is the winner.
A couple more, Ben and Zach.
Ben White with the Lexington, North Carolina Dispatch. Can you just give me some history about the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America, when it started and why was it put here?
Well, why was it put here is like the easiest question. Because, I mean, this is the world center of racing, and so, and that was an evolution. We're like a 30-year overnight sensation. This started back in the town of Novi, Michigan, a suburb of Detroit. There was an Indy car that was named after the city of Novi, that there was a group of citizens that came together to try to do a museum around that particular race car. It evolved in 1989, the Detroit Grand Prix changed from a Formula One race to an IndyCar race. That was a big American race. There was no Hall of Fame for all American racing, so that's when this group decided to move ahead to, and it was really a leap of faith. I mean, several people just decided to step off that cliff and see what happened, and so we just drove ahead, and so that's how it evolved. We never had a really nice home in Detroit. We were in several sort of temporary places, and eventually, several years ago, Joey Chitwood, who was on our board of trustees and whose grandfather's in the Hall of Fame, just suggested that he had a space. There was a space that had been vacant, I think, for about 6 years, I believe it was. And he just says, I think we have a place for you. There were groups of people at the table who said, you had me at the word beach, but that was an attractive thing. But the other thing is just because it has the biggest motorcycle race, the biggest stock car race, the biggest sports car race. It's just a no-brainer.
All right, right here, Zach.
Zach Albert, NASCAR.com for Ron. Tony Stewart's inclusion comes under the category of stock cars, but it appears that there was more consideration to a lot of different criteria for him in terms of what he's done in multiple forms of motorsports.
Right. Sometimes it's different. We have that large category where they have people crossing over categories, and some people have been elected in that at-large category because they have done multiple disciplines. I think Tony's clear highest achievement has been in NASCAR, and I think that's where he could have easily been elected in some of these other categories. But I think the dominant part of his career clearly is in NASCAR, so that's how he ended up in stock cars.
Gotcha. And for Chip, you touched on this about Tony's impact to this place, four-time winner of this race. This has been one of the sites of some of his biggest victories, and also some of his biggest fence climbing exploits too. So.
Yeah, no question. It's there was a time there when Tony really owned this place. I mean, it seemed like every time he came down here for the 400, he was in contention, and it's fun to see Tony's influence on his team now. I mean, he got out of the race car, and nobody was really sure what we were to expect out of him, but to see how he's embraced being a team owner and still being really involved and being down here for the races has been fun. But it's crazy to think that he's behind David Pearson, the winningest driver for the Coke Zero Sugar 400.
More questions? We have time for a couple more if we have any. Okay, thank you, everybody. Chip, Ron, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.